Effective command and control and good intelligence give the winning edge in battle. During the Gulf War, E-3 sentries provided airborne early warning and control for the air battle. The J-STARS aircraft provided the same capabilities for the ground war. Using their sophisticated sensors to detect enemy targets and command the developing battle, they enabled coalition warplanes to achieve full air and ground superiority. This led to the most decisive military victory of modern times. Throughout history, battle has always been the spur to arms development. A radical advance in weapons technology, or even the novel use of an old one, such as the longbow at Agincourt, frequently gave a battle-winning edge. But military force is ineffective unless there is good intelligence as to where and when to apply it. The Duke of Wellington once said that the art of generalship was guessing correctly what was happening on the other side of the hill. Wellington used light cavalry scouts to collect information, but that intelligence was sometimes inaccurate and frequently arrived too late to be of use. Since the Napoleonic era, intelligence gathering has moved forward at an unbelievable pace. Radical developments in sensors and communications allow the general of the 1990s to know what is happening on the other side of the world. Advanced technology is integral to warplanes of the 21st century. The F-22 Advanced Tactical Fighter and the B-2 Stealth Bomber. But it has been the huge advances in computer technology which have most profoundly affected military aircraft. These could not fly, let alone carry out their mission, without computers and computerized systems. Key missions which employ advanced technology include reconnaissance, using sensitive instruments to spy and eavesdrop on the enemy. Battle management, to provide early detection of targets and to command friendly forces in the air and on land. Electronic warfare to hinder communications. And defense suppression to knock out air defenses using high-tech missiles. As was shown during Desert Storm, the contribution made by these behind-the-scenes players was every bit as important as that of the coalition's fighters and bombers. Commanders today are inundated with information about their own forces and those of the enemy. Command and control aircraft allow them to assimilate this information, use it effectively, and see the big picture of a battle as it develops. Developed by Boeing in the early 1970s and first flown in 1975, the E-3 Sentry is the West's principal airborne warning and control system, or AWACS, aircraft. A conversion of the 707 airliner with radar and electronic sensors, the E-3 is a flying headquarters for command, control, communications, and intelligence. It flies near a combat zone to provide airborne early warning of hostile aircraft and missiles, as well as directing friendly airplanes. Part of the E-3 is the APY-2 Overland Downlook Radar, mounted in a 9-meter diameter rotodome. It can track up to 600 airborne targets simultaneously. Information from the radar and from passive electronic support measures equipment is processed by computers in the main cabin and displayed on operating consoles for the E-3's mission specialists. Typically, it carries a crew of 16, such as weapons controllers, radar operators, and communication specialists, as well as a flight crew of 4. Having detected hostile contacts, the E-3 has to control the developing air battle effectively. It vectors friendly interceptors to shoot down enemy fighters and cruise missiles and directs friendly strike warplanes around enemy air defenses. Orders are relayed via secure voice, data link, and satellite communications equipment. Target information can also be relayed to other E-3s and to ground control centers. The E-3 Sentry assumed an operational role as part of the U.S. Air Defense Forces in 1979. Its detection and control capabilities are so valuable that it has been involved in all recent combat operations, from Grenada and Lebanon to Panama and Desert Storm. NATO bought 18 E-3s to provide airborne early warning of possible Soviet attack on Western Europe. The aircraft are based at Geilenkirchen in Germany and are operated by a multinational NATO aircrew. Making a star appearance in Operation Desert Storm long before it was considered operational, the E-8 J-STARS aircraft represents a major advance in battlefield control. It introduces improvements over the same kind of capabilities for monitoring and controlling the ground war that the E-3 Sentry provides for the air battle. The E-8 is also based on the well-proven airframe of the Boeing 707 airliner. J-STARS stands for Joint Surveillance Target Attack Radar System and is centered around a Norden multi-mode side-looking radar. As on the E-3, information from the radar is processed by computers and displayed in the main cabin on 17 operator consoles. The radar has 2 modes of operation to detect moving and stationary targets. The E-8 can survey 1 million square kilometers of ground in an 8-hour sortie. Control of American civilian and military forces in the event of nuclear war is carried out by specially equipped airborne command posts. The most expensive and most capable of these is the Boeing E-4. Based on the 747 airliner, its official title is the National Emergency Airborne Command Post, or NECAP, after its initials. It is more popularly known as the Doomsday Plane. Inside, the cabin is fitted with a conference room, a rest area, and a communications room. The E-4 has the most comprehensive communications equipment ever fitted to any aircraft. It can interrupt civilian radio and TV networks to make direct broadcasts to the population. The cabin is shielded from the effects of heat and electromagnetic pulses released by a nuclear explosion. These would otherwise severely disable or completely knock out electronic and communications equipment. Once safely airborne, the President and his key staff can head up the chain of command of the nation and its forces. The E-4 is designed for ultra-long endurance. With in-flight refueling, it can stay airborne for at least 3 full days. 4 E-4s are currently in service, and one is always deployed to an airfield near to the President's location when he is overseas. At a lower level than strategic reconnaissance is the collection of tactical information for immediate use by commanders on the battlefield. Typifying the manned tactical reconnaissance aircraft was the McDonnell Douglas RF-4C Phantom, which fought with the U.S. Air Force from Vietnam to Desert Storm. These aircraft are packed with optical cameras, infrared line scanners, and other sensors, and are valuable tools. But the ever-increasing threat from battlefield air defense systems has made collecting information from the air extremely dangerous. This has led to the increasing use of unmanned air vehicles, or UAVs, which have proved their worth in actual combat from Lebanon to Desert Storm. Smaller, cheaper to buy, and far less expensive to operate than manned recon aircraft, UAVs can now perform most, if not all, of their tasks. Due to their small size, UAVs are limited in range, speed, and payload. But their priceless advantage over manned reconnaissance aircraft is that they do not have to endanger the life of a single aviator. The U.S. Air Force is investing ever-increasing funds on UAVs, as typified by the Dark Star, a 4-ton, ultra-high flying machine. Enemy radars and communication systems are prime targets for attack during an air campaign. Radar is the primary source of detection for air defense forces. Knock them out and a blinded enemy will not be able to pick up your approaching forces. Disrupting the enemy's ability to communicate means that military leaders cannot pass orders onto their forces, nor can they relay information about the disposition of your forces. The prime mission of electronic warfare aircraft is to locate and disrupt enemy communication. The Rivet Rider is another special version of the versatile Hercules. Its main mission is psychological warfare. Highly classified equipment, visible in the form of 4 tail antennas, allow it to tap into and rebroadcast radio and even TV transmissions. Enemy air defenses constitute the biggest threat to air operations. Spurred by combat losses in Vietnam, the U.S. Air Force developed special aircraft known as Wild Weasels to take out enemy radars and surface-to-air missile sites. Until very recently, the U.S. Air Force's main defense suppression aircraft was the F-4G Phantom, which operated in Europe with F-16s as a 2-part hunter-killer team. The Phantom would have used its electronic warfare equipment to locate and jam enemy radars, allowing the F-16 to penetrate and destroy them with its harmed missiles. Known as the Spark Bark, the EF-111A Raven is the U.S. Air Force's tactical, jammer, and non-lethal defense suppression aircraft. Special equipment is centered around the ALQ-99E Tactical Jamming System, TJS, which is similar to that fitted to the U.S. Navy's Prowler. Jamming systems are located in a ventral canoe, while receiving antennas are housed in a football fairing at the top of the fin. Although the system is similar to the four-man prowlers, the packaging for the two-seat Raven is far more efficient. Increased automation means that just one electronic warfare officer is needed to operate the entire jamming system. A conversion of the F-111A swing-wing strike aircraft, the Raven has three main missions. Standoff jamming from safe airspace, providing jamming support while escorting strike packages into hostile airspace, neutralization of battlefield air defense radars on close air support missions. In service, the EF-111A has some advantages over the Prowler, notably in speed and range. This version of the Raven made its combat debut during Desert Storm, where it played a major role in suppressing Iraqi air defense. In spite of this combat success, recent U.S. defense cuts have forced the retirement of the Raven. The last aircraft is due to be withdrawn from service around 1998. Instead, the U.S. Air Force is concentrating all its defense suppression and jamming efforts on the Grumman EA-6B Prowler, which has carried out these missions for the U.S. Navy since 1971. The Prowler was developed from the two-seat Intruder, carrier-based attack aircraft. Modifications included addition of an ALQ-99 TJS, an extension of the cockpit for 2 additional crew members. 3 of the 4 crew are electronic countermeasures officers, known as Bears, who operate the sophisticated jamming system. The Prowler's receiving antennas, located in the distinctive football antenna, pick up hostile radar emissions. These are then recorded, processed, and identified by comparison with an existing threat library of radar signals. The TJS has fully automatic, semi-automatic, and manual jamming modes. Once hostile radars have been identified, their emissions are prioritized and disrupted by powerful noise jammers under the wings. The Prowler can carry up to 5, depending on mission and the type of anticipated threat. Each U.S. Navy supercarrier usually deploys a squadron of 4 Prowlers. Their main role is to suppress the various types of radars hostile surface vessels are equipped with, such as navigation, surface search, air search, and fire control of weapon systems. Flying ahead of a carrier, the Prowler can be used as a kind of airborne early warning system. Its passive systems can pick up radar emissions from an enemy vessel long before that vessel can detect the carrier. The U.S. Navy has continuously updated its Prowlers since the mid-1970s. Improvements have been made to the computer software, the displays, and reliability and maintainability of systems. Major comprehensive changes have been applied to the mission equipment, such as improved identification of hostile emitters, wider coverage of frequency bands which can be jammed, increased from 4 to 8, The jamming pods are now able to generate signals across 7 bands instead of 1, and able to jam 2 bands separately. Most importantly, a major upgrade introduced in 1980 allowed the Prowler to fire HARM anti-radar missiles, thus allowing it to jam and take out enemy radars and SAMs on the same mission. The first Air Force crews have recently completed their Prowler training. Whidbey Island in Washington State will be the base for the jointly operated Prowlers. Once the Raven has been retired, the EA-6 will be the only U.S. tactical jamming combat aircraft. Its future looks assured. Many of the specialized aircraft described had key roles during Operation Desert Storm. Nowhere was the application of advanced technology more evident than the air campaign to destroy Iraq's military forces. E-3 Sentries coordinated all coalition air activity, from refueling tracks to routes for strike packages. Prime mission was to warn coalition fighters of Iraqi air activity and to vector them to intercept. The majority of the 40-plus air-to-air kills scored could not have been achieved without the E-3's direct support. Operating from bases at Taif in Saudi Arabia and in Kirkuk in Turkey were 25 Ravens drawn respectively from Idaho in the U.S. and from Upper Hayford in England. The Ravens' capabilities made it one of the coalition's most important aircraft in the fight against one of the world's most dense air defenses. It was particularly useful as an escort for strike packages, where its high speed and long range at low level allowed it to penetrate deep into Iraqi airspace. Prowlers based on the U.S. Navy's 6 carriers and with the Marine Squadron at Bahrain formed another part of the coalition's defense suppression force. They provided barrage jamming, called white snow, with their underwing pods. Any Iraqi radars still operational after this were dispatched by HARMs. The HARMs were often fired preemptively, moments before a strike package entered a target area, waiting to detect an Iraqi radar being switched on, and attacking if it did so. Certainly, the HARM launch command over the radio was a very effective way of dissuading Iraqi radar operators from even turning the sets on. HARMs were also carried by Air Force Wild Weasel Phantoms, whose onboard radar homing and warning system allowed them to prioritize threat radars and attack accordingly. Recent conflicts have shown that advanced technology plays a critical role in determining the shape and outcome of warfare. Without sophisticated equipment, key missions such as command and control, reconnaissance, electronic warfare, and defense suppression would be all the harder to achieve. Maintaining the technological edge over potential foes comes at a very high price. But increasingly, military powers who can afford to do so are turning towards high-technology weapons and equipment to meet the challenges of 21st century warfare.